Hi everyone. Welcome to the lecture of Law and Economics 28. Uh, as you know, we are in the middle of the contract law. Today, I already mentioned about this maybe 5, 6 lectures before. I'm not so sure, but the topic is a gap. Gap. Yeah, you may think about the costume company gap, but this is not complete. There is some vacancy in the contract. That's what it means. As usual, I want to explain this concept with a example. Think about this. Just after the midterm exam, the professor got very sick and cannot teach anymore for a while. Oh my God, at least for the next 2 months, which means after the midterm, no lectures, probably no final exam. Make things worse, Professor Han, let's say Professor Han, I got sick, is the only professor in Korea who can teach law and economics in English. So, the Yonsei University should go out to Japan, America, or European countries to find out the replacement, which is pretty difficult. Have you thought about this? Maybe not. Maybe this year you might have thought about this, but last year, 5 years ago, probably not. More importantly, when you enter Yonsei University, you have kind of sign a contract with Yonsei University, even though you didn't. You did. Actually, Yonsei University said, oh, you are Mr. Kim, you are accepted to Yonsei University, and we'll teach you 4 years. And if you abide by these rules, we'll let you graduate. And you said, okay, I pay the money every semester, and I take this so much classes, this much credit I get, then I can graduate, blah, blah, blah. But if you go back to the contract, probably when I meant contract is the school has a rule book. So everything what school would do would be written down in the rule book. Okay, you can find it on the internet, I guess. I can do that. Probably you can. I can search. I can put my ID and password, then go into the Yonsei homepage site, and I can find out the rule book there. And it's very big, very thick, and seems everything's there. However, even that rule book does not mention about the professor got sick, blah blah blah. I mean, should the class canceled after the midterm exam and you said, oh my God, this is my final year, I have to graduate this year, I got a job, but then should I take another course next year? Can the university just give me A or B because the professor got sick and cannot teach anymore? Or would it be okay if the professor graded midterm and replace the final with midterm just one exam and give you the A and B and C according to the grade, according to that? So many complicated things. I mean, the sick professor, nobody cares. But then, can I get a credit? Can I graduate this semester? Big thing. Or if I cannot graduate this semester, I get a class next year or next 4th semester. Should it be free? So many these complicated things comes up when something unexpected happen. Then one might say, come on, why the original contract didn't say anything about it? I mean, at least school like Yonsei University should have a clause in their contract with the student that if there's any professor who got sick and cannot teach anymore in the middle of the semester, we would do this. Like, we would give us a student credit with a grade B or A, or, we can find a replacement from America or wherever, or we can just say that the midterm exam would replace all the final exams and things like that. Okay, and what if Professor Han got sick and they found out Professor Lee who can teach law and economics, but he cannot speak English. So the class should be in Korean and somebody translate. Here, the second thing. So this thing hopefully was mentioned in the original contract, but most likely didn't. Second situation, you have a final exam. On your way to the final exam, the subway stopped because of a large blackout in the whole city. Of course, you were 1 hour late. The exam is already over. And you ask the professor, can I have another exam? Look at me, because subway I'm late. And the professor said, I tell you, you should be here until 10 o'clock whatsoever. And there's some student still came here at 10 o'clock on time. And it's unfair to give you credit. You are F. It's your problem, not my problem. Wow. Cold-minded professor. But then, let's say, okay, I'll give you exam and you can get A if you do well in the exam. Then the student who came here on time said, come on, we started from home early expecting this kind of accident might happen, and then we are not late, but then this person is late and it's unfair to give him A or some other grade. I mean, he should not be considered. Once again, I look at the rule book. The rule book doesn't say anything about what we should do, the professor should do in this case. Most likely, I'm not going to give A, but what if it's a subway problem? Or what if you overslept? That's another problem. Subway is kind of not the individual student's problem, not really, but if you overslept, that's the individual problem, blah, blah, blah. And unfortunately for me, the university does not give me any guidance, which means when I sign a contract with Yonsei University, the university never tell me what to do in that contract in this situation. So when you enter Yonsei University as a student, when I enter Yonsei University as a professor, we have a contract. We have these rules, what we should do as an employee or as a student, according to rule book. But then, even though how thick the rule book might be, it's never be enough. There is a gap. The contract is incomplete, and we call it a gap in the contract. So, the gap exists, and that gives a lot of headache if that really happens. Think about this. Why a gap exists? Okay, nobody wants a gap, I guess, because when something happens, we look at the rule book, we look at the contract or rule book should give us the answer. So, I think unlike the stupid contract of Yonsei University or any other contract, because I am a professor, smart professor, you're a smart student, so we should make our own complete contract. So first of all, what should we do if the professor is dead? Okay, any suggestions? Maybe the professor's wife should teach? Or the university should find out someone within 1 week to teach? Or if the content of the new professor is not as good as the dead professor? Wow, a lot to think about. Anyway, a replacement professor demand much higher salary. For example, a professor in Tokyo University died who taught law and economics. And in Asian area, I'm the only replacement. So Tokyo University asked me, oh, Professor Han, can you come to Tokyo every Monday and teach your course, law and economics, to the Japanese student? I say, well, I may, but it's not going to be cheap. You should pay me a lot. Actually, per trip, I demand $10,000. Same thing may happen. If I have trouble, I cannot teach, maybe one Japanese professor from Tokyo University should come here to teach this course, and he demand $10,000. And as a student, you may say, oh yeah, I mean, you should do that. Of course, this is before anybody gets sick. So now I'm perfectly okay to teach you, but this may happen in the future. You know, I may be sick. I still have 18 years to teach this course. And for that 18 years, I may get sick. This may happen. And every semester, 8,000 courses are provided from Yonsei University. For 10, 20 years, this might happen. Some professor got sick and cannot teach. And the only replacement is in foreign country, so it takes a lot of money to bring him in. So, if you say, oh, I don't care because Yonsei University promised to teach, so you should bring in, whether this is Japanese professor, American professor, Chinese professor, bring him in. Then the Yonsei University said, okay, but then in that case, are you willing to pay a higher tuition? Because, you know, it costs a lot. I mean, $10,000 per week. That's a lot of money. Yonsei University cannot afford that from your tuition, but you really, really want this, so we can do it, but you should pay more. How much more? Maybe you should pay $1,000 or $500 per week more. Now, what do you think? So, you would say no. So there's a lot of negotiation going on. It's not easy to just say, oh, let's do that. Professor can teach. Professor Han got sick. Maybe in the future he may get sick. He can still teach, but he's very slow. His voice would be very small, but he can teach. Would that be okay with you, student? The student say, no, I mean, you know why? It's very hard to hear what he's saying. This is not what we paid for, so we demand better thing. How better? Maybe give him some very good microphone or, I don't know, assistant. And the instructor will say, yeah, but then still it's not good. And more than that, it costs a lot to the university if you insist that. So it's like, if person got sick and somehow, number two, are you willing to pay for the high tuition for the Tokyo University professor coming here every week, or just took midterm exam and maybe read books by yourself, but that's cheap. So are you gonna do the cheap way or are you gonna do the expensive way? And some students say, I'm willing to pay $500 every week to get a better education. Some students say, no, I don't want to do that. I'll just study myself, so don't charge me higher tuition. Actually, charge me less tuition and things like that. So it's gonna be a hard working contract. It's not easy to put a clause in a contract because it involves with a lot of negotiation, debate, and lawyers, not to mention the lawyers should be there in order to write a legally correct thing. Number 4, replacement teacher can speak only Arabic. Yeah, we found it. He's lucky enough he's in Korea, but he cannot speak Korean, he cannot speak English. Only thing he can speak Arabic, which means we need a translator, or we need to install a program in your computer so that everything would be translated into Korean or English from Arabic. That's gonna cost you. Okay. The university says, students, you should pay. And the student, no. Why should we pay the translator? The university should pay. Wow, that's a lot of money. So once again, we do not know. What I mean is not we do not know. It's gonna be difficult to feel this. So before you enter Yonsei University, you should go through all these small miscellaneous things negotiated with Yonsei University if you want to have a complete contract. Excuse me. But then, at that moment, it hits you ahead. My God, what is the probability that Professor Han, the law and economics professor, get sick and this thing happens? First of all, is it that? I don't know. We don't have replacement in Korea? Actually, there is a replacement in Yonsei University whose name is Professor Kim Cheol-young. So, you're gonna be comforted that if I ever get sick, Professor Kim Cheol-young kicks in and replace me. But Professor Kim Cheol-young may go on sabbatical in America. Then we should find someone else. Not in Seoul National University Econ Department, but Seoul National University's law school. There is one professor who can, actually 2 professors who can teach law and economics. I'm not so sure whether they can teach in English or not, but anyway, there is. Okay? So, all this, but both of them can get sick, then we really have a problem. Not so many professors in Korea can teach law and economics in English. But anyway, what is the probability? It's definitely less than 0.1%. And you just negotiate about what if Professor Han gets sick and the class has problem, blah, 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 all these 1,000 cases, and you come to conclusion that, oh, what the heck? Probably it will never happen. I mean, he seems healthy. He's only 50, actually I'm 51 years old. So what is the possibility that he gets sick this semester and cannot teach? Not really. And instead of wasting my valuable time for over this like 1 week, and probably it's never happened, then that means I'm wasting 1 week for a small possibility of 0.1. So I would rather believe, oh, I'm not going to talk about this. I will have a gap in my contract concerning what if Professor Han gets sick. And I think it will never happen. And if it happens, let's deal with it after it happens. So that is why people leave it a gap. And here, the negotiation is also involved. So, as I mentioned, the freshmen and Yonsei University, they negotiate. What if the Arabic translator needed? Or let's say, if the coronavirus gets, now everybody agree, but let's turn the clock 1 year ago, and somebody asks you if coronavirus gets serious pandemic, and will the student accept the online class, or will you insist offline class? Somebody asks. It's not on the contract when you sign up for the Yonsei University, when I sign up with the Yonsei University. Some students may say, oh, online class is okay. It seems like 80-90% of the students said, okay, what I cannot help, online is okay. But still, some students, even nowadays, insist that we should have offline classes. Well, it's not easy. To make a contract with the students and university. But here is something that relates me a lot, and probably you never worry about. What are professors? When I signed Yonsei University, employed Yonsei University 2002, 18 years ago, they never mentioned about coronavirus situation. Of course, nobody would have thought about it. And if they say, oh, the student want offline class, so Professor Han, you should go to the class instead of the online class. You should have an offline class facing 150 students. Yeah, you heard me right. I have 150 students taking this law and economics course this year. What did I say? Hell no. No way. I said as if I'm young. I'm 51 years old. Think about it. From your point of view, I'm pretty old. And if I get sick, if the young student gets sick, well, you are sick like a couple of days and get over. I would be in a very serious situation. I mean, wow. If some guy over 50 gets sick, I may die. I don't want to teach you offline, to be honest with you, in this situation. So it's going to be a very, very difficult negotiation. In 2002, if the Yonsei University and I decide to negotiate what should we do under coronavirus situation, I will say, no. I mean, I don't want to die. I will definitely go online. Something like that. And the negotiation will go on and on and on. And probably at the end, we would agree, what is the probability of coronavirus pandemic happens and all classes should be online? From the 2002 year point of view, so we say, oh, what the heck. Let's risk it because it will very unlikely to be happening. So we leave a gap. We left a gap, actually. We didn't negotiate, but we never thought this is plausible. On the other hand, we talked about, okay, the university demand me to write an English paper published every year, one paper a year. What if I don't? How many years can you forgive me, wait for me? Because I think that has a seriously high probability to be happening when I can promote it and things like that. But then coronavirus, come on, not in million years, that would never happen. But then after 18 years, look at us, it happened. So this negotiation we should do, because when you put a clause, new item in your contract, you have to negotiate with each other because both people would have a different idea what to do. They never always agree. They agree, but in a different way. So they have to talk. The lawyers involved, the fee would be high, the cost would be high, the transaction cost would occur. And after all that, coronavirus, never happen. What is the probability that coronavirus pandemic would happen? So we said, considering the really, really small probability, we are not gonna bother ourselves to put that clause in our contract. So in the end, to gap or not to gap, to be or not to be. So leave a gap in there or do not leave a gap. So leave a gap, fill the gap. How can we decide? You look at the cost of allocating risk. Risk means before the accident happens. So you have an insurance company and you talk with the insurance company. If there's a car accident, the insurance company pay up to this much, and after that, the individual pay this much. Or for this kind of incident, that if a person got hurt, the insurance company pay everything. If the car got broken, the insurance company get only this much, and more than that, the individual pay. So if you ever get into the driver's insurance, they have all these things written down. How much the insurance company is responsible, how much you are responsible. But then the important point is when you get insured for your car, the accident didn't happen. An accident might never happen. In my case, I scratched something a couple of times. So for the past 20 years, I did it once or twice, but nothing serious. Many things written down in the insurance contract never happen. Would never happen in the future, I believe, I think. But anyway, that's allocating risk. Before the accident, thinking about if that ever happened, who would be responsible for what? So allocating risk is as if not leaving any gap and fill the gap, put that clause, if this ever happened, this would be dealt with like this way, kind of thing. So this is cost of not leaving the gap, meaning complete the contract. On the other hand, if you do not write that down, like the coronavirus situation in Yonsei University right now, we never sign a contract that considered corona pandemic situation. What happened? Now the student leader come to us say like, we are not happy, you should do this, you should do that. And the university say, we never promised you this, we can only do this, we cannot do that, and things like that. Okay? So this loss and risk, which should be bigger? I mean, if we have long time ago, the student and professors and the Yonsei University agree upon if the corona pandemic happens and should we do online, offline. If we do online, what would be the salary for the professors? What would be tuition for the student? So if that was all written down, when corona happens, our work would be so reduced. The student no complaint, okay, according to our contract with Yonsei University, it would be online under this condition. So until May, it would be online, but the infection ratio goes down like this. So from June, we would be offline and things like that. For me, I'm risking my life, but already I signed a contract that even though there's a pandemic under this condition, I'm going to teach the student offline. So I'll do it because I signed it. If I don't abide by the rules, the police will enforce me. So if the party who signed the contract allocated risk in advance before it happens, then it is much easier to deal with the accident or the situation when it really happened. On the other hand, if it's not written, there's a confusion what to do. We never thought about it, and they begin to negotiate. So it's like you're negotiating before the accident happened, or you negotiate after the accident happened and the car is burning and everything. Which cost would be bigger? The cost of allocating loss means the accident already happened, should be bigger than cost of allocating risk. So if the accident happened with probability 100%, you should think about it in advance. Like whether Professor Han would be promoted from assistant professor to associate professor to the regular professor, I think that would happen with probability almost 100%. That's why the contract write a detailed thing about that. However, coronavirus, the probability of happening that is very, very small. So even though the cost of allocating a loss is bigger than the cost of allocating a risk, but the probability is so small, when you multiply this, the total expected cost is very small. Expected cost because the cost multiply the probability. Because the cost is big, but probability is so small, then you leave the gap. Because even thinking about it, negotiating about it, and occurring transaction cost is not worth it because the probability is small. Cost of allocating risk, on the other hand, if the probability is not so small and cost of allocating loss is not so small, then we should fill the gap. So this is the criterion when to leave the gap, when to fill the gap. Okay, next topic. It's going to take time, but I'm going to briefly introduce the next topic. That is default rules. First, contingency is a terminology I want to mention. Something, according to Cambridge Dictionary, something that might possibly happening in the future. Personally, I think considering more contingencies in advance is the key to success. So you are entering a company like Samsung Electronics, and then you just go to the company, whatever your boss orders you do that. On the other hand, you are a newcomer, your boss orders just one thing, but after doing that, you wonder, what if there's a blackout? What if there's a new style mobile phone comes out? What if all of a sudden the